Welcome along to Cadwell Park, the third event of the 2019 Toyo Tyres BRSCC Porsche Championship. Racing between the Porsche Supersport Boxsters and the Classic 924s about to get underway here. Let's have a look at how things went in the qualifying session this morning. Pole position going to the returning Andrew Porter, a first pole for him. Lee Bowden second from Gary Lawrence and Nick Hull. It's a 924 pole position for returnee Peter Smith, ahead of Hugh Pert and John Jones completing the lineup. Had a big downpour a little while ago here. The track is wet but still drying. Hugh Pert makes a good start to grab the lead on the 924s. And the black 924, that's the returning Pete Smith. Looks like he's got some graphics flapping there on the car. Lee Bowden is up into second position, and Nick Hull in third. Fourth position is Gary Lawrence. Gary reported some gearbox issues in qualifying, which I think have been sorted out now, so we'll see whether he can get the Avery's car up onto a podium position. But Nick Hull's got plenty of experience around here, as Andrew Porter ahead of us heads into the sunshine. Very difficult conditions with a drying line. It's going to make overtaking an absolute premium. Hugh Pert, the 924 championship leader there, with John Jones second in the championship. He's in the red 924, which we'll see going into shot there. This is John Jones' first outing here at Cadwell, so a huge amount for him to learn this weekend, and we're seeing his lap times improve over the qualifying session, which is good. Lee Bowden starting to challenge Andrew Porter, though, who remains out front. The man from Knaresborough leading the race. The onboard shots really do give you a fine perspective of this wonderful Cadwell Park circuit, very often referred to as a mini Nürburgring. Having been to the Nürburgring, I can tell you that they are two completely separate entities, and I would personally hesitate to make the comparison. But Cadwell is a fantastic circuit. And a real challenge for the drivers, a regular on the calendar with the Porsche Racing Drivers Association. So going through the old hairpin, short straight down into Barn Corner. Here's the battling pair for the race lead in the 924s, and it's very good to see Pete Smith back with us. Let's see what Peter can do on his return. The leading four Supersport Boxsters still very much together. Nick Hull there in third place, Gary Lawrence in fourth, and Lee Bowden chasing Andrew Porter. It's a good confident start from Andrew Porter. We'll see whether Lee can start to make a little bit of progress as the race settles down there. Just working out, you can see some parts of the track drier than others, and with an overhang of trees in certain parts of the circuit, that can make life very, very tricky indeed. Bowden also having to deal with a bit of spray, as you can see, so the advantage very much with the respective class leaders. If we look back, it's still Hugh Pert in the distance, leading the 924s at this stage, and Hugh, I know, is going to welcome the competition this weekend from Peter Smith. Pert leading the championship from John Jones by 15 points at the moment. The championship leader in the Supersport Boxsters is still Rick Styron, believe it or not. We haven't seen him since Brands Hatch, but he had a very good Brands Hatch. Nick Hull, though, is only about 3.5 points behind Gary Lawrence, another 5 points down on him. So we could see Nick Hull here take the championship lead, and he's in blue. When drop scores are applied, things work out slightly differently, but for the moment we'll go on the total points scored as they go up the mountain. That is a superb piece of racetrack in any race car, and I vaguely remember Rick Styron telling me that's one of the key points on the circuit for him, racing in these Boxsters. On board with Lee Bowden again. So this is the old hairpin, short straight, then they've got another right turn, slightly downhill now, very much downhill once they get through Barn, which is the last corner on track, bringing them down onto the home straight. Pit entrance there on the right hand side, quick wipe of the screen as they head up towards the first turn on the lap, which is Coppice. That's a left-hander, hence pole position here being on the outside of the track. And Andrew Porter here, having bagged his first pole position in the championship, could well be on for his first win. Looking very, very good at the moment. So Porter It's going to be interesting to see how things go on as in this 20-minute race the circuit begins to dry out. See well how the settings work out for everybody, but it's still Porter from Bowden, then Nick Hull in the blue 44 car, PDA chairman, followed by Gary Lawrence running in fourth. Gary picking up his first win in the championship in race 3 at Snetterton. Had a retirement, but for that, and probably on drop scores, would be the ahead of Nick Hull on the points. But Andrew Porter, this is the view he wants very much. Blue sky, clear circuit. It's definitely drying out here. That sudden downpour that we had has moved away, replaced by sunshine. The best thing possible to dry the track out. A lot of people do like a wet race. Look at Nick Hull coming under a bit of pressure from Gary Lawrence. The gearbox issues, the gear selection issues he had, very clearly have gone away now because he's challenging his friend and rival Nick Hull very closely here. And those first few laps, I think he's found out that the car is very much to his liking. Lee Bowden again, the race leader. Andrew Porter not getting away by too much at the present time. So they'll come out of the shade and in the sunshine. You can see the shady areas of the circuit will take that little bit longer to dry out. Now, having said Gary Lawrence was closing up on Nick Hull, Nick getting away from him again at the minute, so the gap seesawing between third and fourth position. And a decent gap, although having said that, he's closed up and goes through at Coppice and through round into Charlie's corner. The confidence was obviously building there from Gary Lawrence in the car, and he goes through on the inside line and passes Nick Hull. So Nick down to fourth place. He'll look to try and pull back from that fairly obviously, but the two leaders, now is there too much of an advantage here over Gary Lawrence in the third place car? We are still in the early stages of this race. We're only 5 minutes in, so around about a quarter distance here at Cadwell Park for round 6 of the championship. 2 races at Brands Hatch to kick things off. Then we had the triple header, the first of our triple headers at Snetterton, and this weekend once again a triple header. Gary Lawrence still trying to close in. Now he's got the confidence of that first win in the Formula. It was a wee while coming, but he'll feel that he will have the pace to be able to catch these two out front who are starting to get embroiled in a battle, and that may well help Gary Lawrence as Lee Bowden looks to the inside line as they climb up the mountain. You don't very often see passes there, but Lee Bowden having a very good go. Bowden does have racing form here at Cadwell Park, obviously raced in the production class back in, well, last year, 2018, and was the lone runner on that occasion. So he has got some Cadwell Park experience in boxsters, albeit in that production category, which at the moment doesn't have any drivers, but I'm sure we'll see some coming up before the end of the year. Bowden working hard. Last year, incidentally, it was a hat-trick for Adam Southgate. Gavin Johnson, the man to beat last year in the 924s here, with Hugh Pert taking a win as well. So Hugh's got a little bit of form as well. Andrew Porter still there. He's had a consistent season so far. Opened up with 2 fourth places at Brands Hatch, a 5th, 2nd and 4th. So mixed bag at Snetterton. Has a look as they go into Park Corner at the inside line. That will compromise his exit speed. He might have to regroup and try and close in again, and it looks as if Gary Lawrence is closing the gap slightly over these two now in third. And if Lawrence gets embroiled, what you might see is a battle for second place, and that may well allow Andrew Porter in the race lead to get away. But at the moment, this is far from finished, and again the 16 car has regrouped and looks down the inside line here. A little bit of contact. Well, what is it they say, faint heart never kissed a pig. You've got to have a go, and Lee did that. Thankfully it didn't dislodge the leader off track, but Bowden's lost momentum, and Gary Lawrence saw that. He pounces and goes through into second place and is very much closer to the leader. So the battling did draw them together as Bowden looks on the inside line. What a move by Lee Bowden to fight back. Superb racing from Bowden and Gary Lawrence. They're giving each other on. Around he goes too early on the gas, and a gyration for the 16 car. Gary Lawrence has to check up so that no damage is done, but goes through Well, Lee Bowden was a man on a mission as he repassed Gary Lawrence. Oh, and again he's on the gas and spins around. You can see that part of the track is going to be so slippery because of the overhang of the trees. You can see that there's barely a drying line there, and I think the adrenaline was kicking in for Lee Bowden, having been challenging for the lead and then wanted to get second place back, and this has left Andrew Porter in a very comfortable position out front at the moment. Let's have a look back and see, well, the back of shot, can't see at the minute where Gary Lawrence is. So this is all good news at the moment for Andrew Porter, our race leader, who has got clear track ahead of him, clear track behind him as well. And this potentially turning his first pole position into a potential first race win with this championship. So Andrew will be delighted about that. He's got John Jones immediately ahead of him in the 924 category. John picking up some useful points again. And John second in the 924 championship. There is our leader. Gary Lawrence not that far behind. You can see him in shot. Here's the view from Hugh Pert. The leader in the 924s is Peter Smith. Great to see Peter back out with us. And John Jones finds himself about to be passed. He's running third, the red 924, the black 924 there. Peter Smith in the number 18 is the club. Gary Lawrence here going wide. If he was near enough, he might try and move around the outside. That's been done before. I'm not sure in Boxsters, but what it does do is give him a wide line into the mounting complex, gives him a bit more momentum as he goes up the hill, and this could be building up to a move a little bit further round the lap. He's certainly all over the back of the 33 car now, so very clearly a fight for the lead here in round 6 of the championship. Porter goes through the old hairpin. You really get the nature of that corner from our onboard, the fact that it is tight. From the outfield cameras you can't really see this is tight. It is, and again, well, I tell you what, Porter here is doing a very good job. He's got away from Lawrence in that last sector of the lap, crosses the line and is still clear of Gary Lawrence. We've still got Lee Bowden running in third, Nick Hull in fourth place, Peter Smith still leading the 924s ahead of Hugh Pert and John Jones. Everybody's still running, and Andrew Porter here potentially looking like a first time win for him here, despite the very best efforts of Gary Lawrence, who has got to build up again, heading into the part of the track where it looked as if Porter was slightly the quicker. But one thing you know about Gary Lawrence is that he's a great character. The other thing you know about him is that he's a great fighter and has closed the gap to within half a car's length as they exit Chris Curve, heading down towards the gooseneck. Here we go, on board with Porter once again, coming down into Mansfield, and Lawrence is all over the back of him now, goes one way then the other. This is Mansfield corner. Porter will go wide. Let's keep our eyes open either side of the car to see whether Lawrence is coming through, and he is there on the left-hand side. Gary Lawrence goes through, saw the gap, built the momentum up on that part of the lap and goes through into the lead. He's on the dry spot there. Can he hold on to it? Porter might do a Bowden and have a look back up the inside line. But I tell you what, Lawrence was wise to that from earlier on from his fellow competitor and retains the lead. So Gary Lawrence has the lead of round 6 of the championship, and he's potentially heading for a second career win. And now the onboard from Andrew Porter's car, far from being clear circuit, he's got his rival in front of him, and you can see now he's got spray on this part of the track coming up, flicking up into his face as Gary Lawrence goes down the straight and crosses the line now onto the last lap of the race. This is lap 10. So a penultimate lap pass, but Andrew Porter won't be finished yet either. The pole position man will want to fight back, but Gary Lawrence has come through from 4th on the grid. Chipped away, worked hard, had that great tussle with Lee Bowden, and then had to work so hard to close down on Andrew Porter. This has been a fascinating opening race of the weekend for the Toyo Tyres BRSCC Porsche Championship. Once again, the view from Andrew Porter. Lee Bowden still running in 3rd. Nick Hull is in 4th place. This is also going to put Gary Lawrence into 2nd position on total scores in the championship, and it'll move him to within 1.5 points of Nick Hull, because Nick is running in 4th place, so he's closing in. As I said, the drop score's separate. I haven't got time to work those out, and my maths isn't that great, to be perfectly honest. But we are only 3 events into the season, and they will come into play probably for me when we get to Anglesey in August. But Gary Lawrence is on the last half lap here at Cadwell Park over Andrew Porter. For Porter, this will match the 2nd place finish that he had in race 2 at Snetterton, so it's another podium for him in the Supersport Boxers, and he still hasn't given up, because we're going through the Hall bends. Here's the old hairpin now, gets very close to Gary Lawrence, has a nibble up the inside line. Lawrence comes across on the brakes, grabs the racing line in, partly defensive. Oh, and on the gas goes the 33 car. Porter was chasing hard, has a gyration, I think, should be able to recover. Gary Lawrence is rightly delighted after the problems in qualifying. Andrew Porter, a hard-earned 2nd position after that spin, recovers well. He'd worked so hard in that race to build up that gap. Hugh Pert, meanwhile, is 2nd in the 924s. Here comes the race winner. Peter Smith wins on his return to the championship in the 924s. The result is as follows. Gary Lawrence, the winner from Andrew Porter, Lee Bowden and Nick Hull, with the 924s won by Peter Smith from Hugh Pert and John Jones. Fastest lap, Gary Lawrence in the Boxsters, Peter Smith in the 924s.
Well, that was a little bit interesting with the with the changing conditions. Start though, that wasn't probably your best.
Not as planned. No. Got off the line all right, and just span up, kept spinning and spinning. So yeah, Hugh was off then, so it made it a bit difficult. Track conditions were probably the worst you can get, because the drying track. So you've got patches that are completely wet, patches that are drying up, completely dry patches, so every lap's different. You've got to sort of keep your brain in gear. So it was difficult, and Hugh, when I got past Hugh, was right with me the whole way, so we had a great battle, great race. And with those conditions, it was keeping it out of the barriers is quite important around Cadwell, because it's pretty tight. So
keeping it off the grass really is particularly in these conditions is the most important thing. Tomorrow should be dry. Is that something that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, definitely. Nice sticky track. That'll do. Yeah, definitely.
Well, it's race 2, and as you can see, the cars are heading out to the grid. Gary Lawrence is on pole position. It's over to Richard John Neal to take you through all of the action.
Thank you, Lloyd. Joining Gary on the front row of the grid, the man who finished 2nd in race number 1, Andrew Porter. Row 2, Lee Bowden and Nick Hull. The 924s headed by Peter Smith from Hugh Pert and John Jones completing the grid. This one a 15-minute race. The organisers very much against it today. We're hoping to have a full 20-minute race 3 if they can catch up with the schedule. If anyone can do it, the BRSCC can. The lights are out, away we go. Great start by Gary Lawrence, and Nick Hull gets away too well in the blue car. Hull slotting into 3rd place ahead of Lee Bowden. Not the best of starts though for Andrew Porter, who is in 3rd, and Lee Bowden has to go across the dirt there, was challenging for 3rd place. I'm not sure whether Porter knew he was coming up the inside line, but Andrew Porter from the front row of the grid is down in 3rd place, so it's the 2 more seasoned drivers, shall we say, 1 and 2. There is Lee Bowden in the 16, and Lee followed by Peter Smith as Andrew Porter challenges Nick Hull for 2nd place. So Porter very quickly back on the case and challenging Nick Hull for 2nd position. The man from Harrogate coming under pressure. Nick himself will want to try and not let Gary Lawrence get away. Gary was 4th obviously in the first race of the day and came through. Circuit now is completely dry, so we'll get much more of a picture of how things are going to unfold over the course of the race. Nick heading towards the mountain section. Gary Lawrence beginning to build a bit of a lead over Nick Hull, who will look in his mirrors and he'll know that that third place car will be keen to get a further step up on the podium. Wonderful shot as they leap up the mountain over that hump, become almost airborne. The car's very, very light indeed over there. Lawrence now looking for career win number 3. That will sound so good for him. Through the old hairpin down to Barn Corner. It's the conclusion of lap number 1. On board again with Nick Hull in the 44 car. Nick has had some success here. I've told you before that Nick was the one of the very early race-winning drivers in the Boxsters. In fact, we'll come back to that because we're on board with Hugh Pert, who is in 3rd place at the moment, and John Jones up ahead of him in the 639. So Hugh with a little bit of work to do. Peter Smith leading the class, and need to talk a bit about Peter because we didn't talk too much about the returning man in the 94s in race number 1. So 2nd position, a battle. Nick Hull not overly defensive there, so obviously feeling fairly confident. Heading through Park Corner down towards Chris Curve. This the scrap for 2nd position then in the 924s, and a very good move there indeed by Hugh Pert in the 36th man from Northwood, going to go through. First time he's been defeated this year in race number 1. And through on the inside goes Pert, with John Jones now down into 3rd position, and Pete Smith clear of those guys at the moment. Still the battle for 3rd place goes on. So yeah, I was going back to Cadwell Park and talking about Nick Hull in the 44 car. Cadwell, the scene of Nick's wins in the championship back in those early days, the overall race win, so he's very much used to it. I think very much enjoys the circuit, and now having a great scrap with Andrew Porter. Lee Bowden is not too far away as well in 4th place. Remember, we saw Lee holding 2nd position earlier on in race number 1, and will be keen to join this podium battle as Porter comes offline, takes a wide line here. This is as much about getting a good sweep through Coppice Corner and then round into Charlie's, and maybe momentum onto the Park Straight. Remember, you have to build up to overtakes, particularly around here. Dab on the brakes in front from Nick Hull. Let's see whether that is going to scupper Porter. Bowden's still in the mix as well in 4th place, not that far behind. But on these two battle, it's going to allow Gary Lawrence, who had the fastest lap as well, and the extra point that went with it now. And here comes Porter, comes offline, looks down the inside line into Park Corner. That was a great move into 2nd position, and now he can set about trying to close down on Gary Lawrence. So Nick Hull is into 3rd. Lee Bowden's going to start the chase of Nick Hull now. Nick, the championship leader. Now, we worked the points out after race number 1. Nick Hull is on 85 points, and then 83.5 points for Gary Lawrence is in 2nd position in the standings. Then it's Andrew Porter up to 3rd, Rick Styring down to 4th. Of course, it's Hugh Pert who leads the 924s. We've still got, in the early stages of the race, all 4 cars in shot, which is mightily encouraging. And Lee Bowden now trying to close down on Nick Hull, who's losing a little bit of ground on Andrew Porter in 2nd place. Porter, of course, chasing his winner. Bowden goes through on the inside line there at Barn Corner and takes 3rd place. Well, no shortage of overtaking here. It wasn't Barn, I beg your pardon, it was the old hairpin. They exit Barn now, go down the main straight, and Nick Hull finds himself in 4th position. That was a good move by Lee Bowden. Again, clean and fair racing is the absolute key to this. We've seen plenty of overtakes, of course, by Nick Hull over the course of the season. Clubhouse through Hall Bends again, coming down into the old hairpin. This is a potential overtake. No, it's a wide line here. This is all about carrying the speed out of these 2 corners for Porter and maybe having a run down the straight. He's certainly not wider into Barn, if anything, pulling away Gary Lawrence there from that sequence of corners, and Porter's got to have another look. He'll close up slightly as they come into Coppice. Lawrence responding well at the moment, on board with the race leader again, nicely grabbing the apex at Coppice, round into Charlie's, the right-hander, which sweeps, continues. Here we come, eventually emerging onto the Park Straight, and here come the 2 leaders still fighting it out. Andrew Porter still the chaser, and it's Gary Lawrence in the number 3 appropriately, looking for career win number 3 here. Wait ages for a win and then 3 come at once, but he ain't there yet either, because again into Park, and now Gary Lawrence, you saw there going into Park corner. Lawrence knows that Porter is quick into that corner. I don't know if he's aware that that's where Porter put the pass on Nick Hull earlier on, but that was defensive from Gary Lawrence, and why not? Here we go, braking as they head down through the gooseneck and towards Mansfield. Porter again having a look on that inside line. Got to be brave to put in a move anywhere here at Cadwell Park. Conditions, I would say, possibly slightly easier than they were in the wet, because in race number 1 there was really in many parts of the circuit only a dry line, and you had to have to come off that now. But look at this, Porter is very much on the offensive again as they head through the twists and turns down towards the old hairpin once again. And Gary Lawrence, of course, the more you get defensive, the more you get sucked into the battle. But Porter has got to try and find a way past. If Lawrence is defending, technically he's checking up the driver behind, and it might stop the flow to some extent of the driver that's chasing. And Andrew Porter still chasing hard, goes across the line again, and this is lap 9 of the race. As you can see, 15-minute race. It's going to go to about 15:45, I guess, by the end of it. Lawrence still there, still looking in his mirrors, and chasing hard is Andrew Porter. What a Porsche race we have had between these two. 2 good races to get things underway here at Cadwell Park, and we've got another race to come with the reverse grid too. And here they come, and look at that, Lawrence knows, and he's forcing Porter to go round the outside, but there isn't the grip, and Porter, that's game over for him. Fair play to him for having a go around the outside line, but the grip just was not there. He had momentum, but not the grip to match it. And Gary Lawrence emerges from Chris Curve in lead position with a little bit of a breathing space now over Andrew Porter. And that was the proof of the pudding that Gary Lawrence had to go defensive, because he forced Porter onto the outside line, couldn't stay off on the grass, and Gary Lawrence looks like it's going to be a Cadwell Park double here in the number 3 car. This for the double, this to take the championship lead away from Nick Hull. So Hull will have held the championship lead for a single race. Hull still running in 4th, Lee Bowden in 3rd. Peter Smith is heading for a 2nd career win in the 924s, and I'll hopefully get a chance to talk about Peter Smith in race 3 and his achievements in the Toyo Tyres Championship over the years. Here comes Andrew Porter though, 2nd position, closing in again. He's recovering, he's closing in on Gary Lawrence, but it's going to be Gary Lawrence that takes a double here at Cadwell. Andrew Porter crosses the line in 2nd place. Lee Bowden is in 3rd and was not far behind at all. Lee Bowden, 4th position, will go to erstwhile championship leader after race 1, Nick Hull, in the blue 44 car, with Peter Smith taking the honours once again in the 924s. So 2nd career win for Peter Smith in the 924s. Hugh Pert taking 2nd position in the classic class. John Jones completing those runners. Fastest laps in the race, Andrew Porter and Hugh Pert.
Peter, congratulations on your class victory. It's an interesting circuit, Cadwell, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I think you love it or hate it, and I do like it. Yeah, it's nice. It's got the undulations, gradients, camber changes. It is just like a roller coaster, really. It's awesome, yeah.
Hugh, congratulations on your 2nd place, but
all went wrong at the start.
Well,
didn't
yeah,
it?
that was kind of what I was alluding to.
No, all went wrong at the start. Yesterday I had a brilliant start, led everybody by several car lengths at the end of the 1st straight. Today I just spun up, everybody got past me, and it was just playing catch up then, because I couldn't get past John for a lap, and by which time Pete was down the road. I managed to get fastest lap off him, but it was just too far up the road. But still a brilliant drive, lovely circuit, lovely day, but it was gone.
John, a cracking start, and you seem to have a bit of an interesting battle there with Hugh for a little bit, but he obviously had a bit of extra speed over you.
Yeah, he's obviously much quicker. It's first time here at Cadwell. I struggled big time yesterday in the wet. Today felt much better. Got a better start than Hugh, held him back for a while. it was inevitable he would pass, and after that it was just settling down and finishing the race.
It's the final race of the weekend in the Toyo Tyres Porsche Championship, and as always that means it's a reverse grid. That puts John Jones on pole position for the 924s. But what that also means is that Gary Lawrence, winner of the last race, starts at the back of the Boxster grid. How is he going to make it through all the traffic in front of him? It's over to Richard to find out.
Thank you very much, Lloyd. Always compelling, these reverse grid races. So there is the grid with Nick Hull on pole in blue, Lee Bowden alongside. Row 2, Andrew Porter and Gary Lawrence. They complete the Supersport Boxsters. John Jones, as Lloyd said, on pole position for the 924s with Hugh Pert second and Peter Smith at the back of the field. That the view from Lee Bowden. Lots of onboards to share with you in the course of this race. And Nick Hull starts from pole position. Can he repeat his earlier career victory here in the Supersport Boxsters? Makes a good start. Look at that, Hull, very impressive start. Lee Bowden being gobbled up by the man who finished second in race number 2, Andrew Porter. Hugh Pert makes a decent start and he's looking around the outside line of John Jones in the 924s. He's on the inside, that was the outside at Coppice, inside into Charlie's. And look at John Jones battling for the lead. He's trying to grab the lead of the 924s. Are we going to see them in shot? No, we're not. But a thrilling battle going on with those. Pert is still there. John Jones is still there side by side with him as well. And Jones gets a good run, but Pert trying to hang on to get the inside line when they eventually get here at the end of the Park Straight. So Gary Lawrence fourth at the moment, the double winner, on board with Hugh Pert. There is John Jones who goes off. Hugh Pert comes out in sympathy. Jones is going to rejoin. Well, I'm sure he enjoyed his brief moment in lead position. So Hugh Pert's going to be looking over his shoulder now for Peter Smith, who wants to try and make it a 924 hat-trick. Challenge on for the lead. Lee Bowden is running a little bit wide there, and this is going to allow Gary Lawrence maybe through to third place, but it's Nick Hull, the leader. Hull leads, Andrew Porter in second place. What a start to the race we've got. We love these reverse grid races, don't we? I tell you what, it's a long racing prospect. The organisers have caught up on the timetable. We've got a full 20-minute race here to look forward to at Cadwell Park, and the 4 Boxsters all together. Gary Lawrence, the man who's made up one position, actually so too is Andrew Porter from third on the grid, of course, into second. But look at this quartet, all very tightly matched, and Nick Hull had brake problems at the tail end of race 2, fourth in class, still second in the championship on total points scored, and heads down the main straight. Porter looking quick, as is Gary Lawrence. Lee Bowden drops away a little bit at the end of that lap, so on board with Gary Lawrence, who's got the box seat here to watch the fight for the lead. He'll want to try and grab second position away from Andrew Porter and then have a go. Lee Bowden hasn't dropped away, he's still there, but Porter all over the back of Nick Hull, who's going to have to be defensive going into Park corner, and Porter is really chiselling away and looking for the gap and finds it. If there wasn't one, he made it and goes through into the lead. Andrew Porter, such close racing. I don't think they touched. Gary Lawrence very nearly touches Nick Hull as he come through Chris Curve. Goodness me, what a start to our final race of the weekend. We've seen some superb action here. They say you can't pass at Cadwell Park. Well, they obviously haven't seen the Toyo Tyres BRSCC Porsche Championship. Great racing. On board with Nick Hull. Second position now from pole. It was a terrific start from him. But Andrew Porter will want to try and get his head down. I guess he'll say, and this is with all due respect to the 44 car, Nick Hull, that his main rival was going to be Gary Lawrence. That's who he's been dicing with over the course of this meeting. They go up the hill. Lawrence is going to be keen to try and get past Nick Hull. We've got Lee Bowden dropping back. Where is Lee? Must have had some sort of issue, as Andrew Porter still out front, out of the old hairpin downhill into Barn Corner, and Gary Lawrence here will start to build the momentum. Is he going to have a slingshot maybe around the outside line or dive up the inside at Coppice? At the moment the outside looks favourable, and this could be more speed in towards Charlie's. Brakes on in front from Nick Hull in second place, and look at the gap that the race leader's beginning to open up now. This is great for Andrew Porter, chasing his first win. Far too early to think about whether he gets the checkered flag or not, but If he does, we'll have had 2 first-time winners in 2 meetings in this championship. That says a great deal. If you're thinking about coming Porsche racing, then very seriously worth a look. Nick Hull, defensive there, then comes out a little bit wider once the defence is done, but Lawrence having a look round the outside line here as they come through Chris Curve and head out of that down towards the gooseneck. Lawrence still challenging hard. He's got a wide sweep here, gaining momentum, very nearly draws level with the 44 car. Can't quite go past, and Nick Hull driving well to defend that second position at the moment. Lawrence all over the back of him though, wants to get a 4th career win. How good would that be for him? He's certainly on the way in terms of race wins at the moment. Lawrence, the new championship leader after our 2nd race. Here we come then, up into the mountain once again. Surely, with the poise of that car, we've seen some good battles over the course of this meeting, but when Porter was chasing Lawrence, they were very much equal. You've got to say that Lawrence looks the racier of the 2 here, and looks a lot happier with his car. Probably Nick Hull, of course, had the brake problems that I mentioned in race 2. Lawrence's problems at this meeting were the gear selection issues in qualifying, and you're better to have problems in qualifying than in race spec. Here comes Lawrence again. Is he going to make a move? There's half a gap there. Dives to the other side of the track and is going to try and go for the big burn up round the outside line into turn 1, which is Coppice, the left-hander. He's still staying on the outside, and the one thing you know that is Nick Hull will give him room, and he does, and he slingshots through into 2nd position. Gary Lawrence from 4th on the grid is up into 2nd from 3rd on the grid. Which was a treble header, so Nick Hull, I think, will here possibly drop 2nd position in the championship to... No, he won't. He'll hold on to 2nd position the way he is at the moment. So that's the maths done. Let's sit back and enjoy this thrilling battle for 3rd place. Dab of the brake lights on in front then from Nick Hull, who is still defending that 3rd position well. We're over the halfway point of this final race of the weekend. I think we'd love to go away from here with a podium. He was ever present on the podium until coming here to Cadwell this weekend, this year rather, and had a quartet of 3rd places, 2nd place in the 3rd event as Gary Lawrence continues to close on the race leader. Lawrence's best lap time, 1:40.769. First race of the weekend, best lap time was a 1:46, so that tells you that Lawrence is quick in the wet and the dry. Race 16, Porter's best lap time, a 1:40.1. So the circuit has been improving. Gary Lawrence has been improving as well. And at the moment, Gary Lawrence, therefore, in 2nd place, the fastest man of the weekend. Because the pole position time, remember, was a 1:42. I think I told you about that in race number 1. So Lawrence, fastest man of the weekend so far, and from 4th up into 2nd. And realistically, that's what you need to do in the reverse grid races, is come through, and depending on the size of the grid, depending on who you've got in the race, is you're going to be thinking about A, finishing to get the points, and B, as high up as possible. But wins aren't always possible in the reverse grid races, particularly when you've got 2 drivers that are as evenly matched as these 2. Porter, though, looking for his first win. Lawrence still trying to hunt him down. The mountain they go. The gap is coming down. Porter had a much bigger gap earlier on in the race. Might have taken the best out of his tyres over the course of the race, so therefore it becomes down to perhaps who's more used to these cars and these conditions on worn rubber. John Jones is approaching 3rd place in the 924 category. Works out well for Andrew Porter that they managed to catch him on the straight, so it doesn't interfere with the lead battle. As you can see, Jones pulls over to the outside line on the track, lets them through. Good driving from him, and this chase for lead position continues with Gary Lawrence still fighting hard and trying to close down on Andrew Porter. Quick look at the time clock. We're approaching 3/4 distance. Porter will afford himself the odd look in his mirrors to see where Gary Lawrence is. Porter will be wondering whether he can take this first win or not here. Remember, we saw Rick Styron taking the first 4 race wins of this season before handing his car back to Gary Lawrence for the 3rd race at Snetterton, which Gary then proceeded to win in. So the same car effectively won the first 5 races of the season in the Toyo Tyres BRSCC Porsche Championship 2019. I tell you what, Andrew Porter here, looking at the clock, looking at the difference in lap times. Granted, Gary Lawrence has the fastest lap, but he's not at the moment closing enough to be able to catch and then make a challenge, because a challenge for the lead is different to catching. Mind you, having said that, it does look like the gap is starting to come down again. And consider that the onboard cameras do tend to make the gap between the camera and the car in front look bigger than it is. I think this is closing up. Gary Lawrence, having said that maybe he hasn't got enough time, perhaps has got time to catch Andrew Porter. In and out of the old hairpin. Down towards Barn Corner again. They go. 15 minutes plus have expired on the clock. Lee Bowden still working hard to try and wrest that third position away from Nick Hull. The leaders go across the line once again. What can Gary Lawrence do? Working hard, grabs the apex there, coming up round into Charlie's corner, still under blue skies. Sun beginning to start to fall in the sky as we are late on in the day, or later on in the day. Andrew Porter, the man from Knaresborough. Gary Lawrence comes from Devon and will benefit from the drop score scenario by having that retirement in race 2 at Snetterton. 4th race of the year. Tend to think that that's very early on to have to think about a drop score, but now we're through another 3 races here at Cadwell Park. It doesn't actually seem so bad, particularly when you get in the lead of the championship, and particularly when on gross points you're the leader and on net points. Look at that, Lawrence really working hard with the car to close in. That was a superb shot of him going down the hill there and fighting to close in on the race leader Andrew Porter, who is still there, and Porter will see that. He'll see how determined Gary Lawrence is to try and take the battle to him, and this is again a repeat of some fine racing that we've seen in both of our events so far. Lawrence trying to close in past the clubhouse. Into Hall Bends they go again, twisting first to the right, then the left, right, left again, through in towards the old hairpin where they are now. Porter still there, Porter's best lap time. Porter is in the 140s as well, so we mentioned that Gary Lawrence did a 140.7. Porter's best time is a 140.994, which he has just posted. John Jones passed by the pair squabbling for third place, or fighting for third place. Lee Bowden still busy chasing Nick Hull, and John Jones still running in third position in the 924s. And a little shout out for John Jones. Lap times have come down hugely as he continues to learn the racecraft of the 924 and learning the circuits. And as a new driver, you're doing that. You're learning the race car and you're learning all the circuits as well. And by the time you come to your second season in the championship, hopefully you've got some experience of the circuits if the calendar doesn't change that much, as well as the experience of the car. So remember, as a newcomer, it's twofold really. Circuits and car have to be learned. Gary Lawrence still piling the pressure on, and he's very, very close now indeed to Andrew Porter. This is almost building up for a grandstand finish. I think he nearly got the floppy there, and he very nearly is into the back end of Andrew Porter. He's all over the back of him. This is what it was like towards the tail end of race number 2, and Gary Lawrence looking very determined this time as the chaser, and Andrew Porter out front on this occasion. Finish there, massive climb, then go over the brow and will eventually start the descent. Things slight climb here, as you can see, before they go into the old hairpin. This is where the descent starts on the circuit. Downhill into Barn Corner. Gary Lawrence looking to build momentum. Very, very close on the back end of the 33 car. There is not room there. Andrew Porter very clearly positioning the car and not giving him room. As having a look up the inside now is Gary Lawrence. Has he got the room? There might have been room, but he didn't have the momentum there. And Nick Hull is out of the race. Nick Hull retires. That is so sad to see. Nick Hull is out of the race. And that means that Lee Bowden is up into third position. Lee Bowden's going to grab a hat-trick of podia here at Cadwell Park. Here's the battle for the lead. Remember, in race 2 we saw Andrew Porter going wide as they went into Park Corner for the last time. He doesn't make that mistake this time. Indeed, of course, he's ahead of Gary Lawrence. Lawrence not close enough to have another go. For Lawrence, it seemed like the chance was to have a go down into Coppice, the left-hander, the first corner of the last lap. He'll try and build up the momentum again, but he's going to have to do it through the twists and turns of Hall Bends and the old hairpin, and maybe get a run to the flag. It's going to be difficult for him. He's not close enough to make a move at the moment. He's still got the fastest lap though, Gary Lawrence, and looking at the sectors on the timing screen, he's going to hold on to that fastest lap and the extra point that goes with it. Up the mountain again, Lawrence still chasing. Andrew Porter, is this going to be a first win for Porter in the championship? Had 1 second place in the championship overall before coming in this weekend. That was at Snetterton in race number 2, and he's under big pressure from Gary Lawrence. This sets us up for our remaining rounds of the season superbly between these two, and it's Porter still in front into Hall Bend, the last corner on the last lap. Gary Lawrence is building up momentum, and he's going to have a go as they come down the straight. He's going to look to the outside, doesn't work, flicks the side, checkered flag is ready, and Andrew Porter just takes it, but Gary Lawrence gave him a very good run indeed to the flag. Lawrence winning, Lawrence taking second position from Porter, who gets his first win. Lee Bowden in third position. Non-finish for Nick Hull in the Supersport Boxsters. 924's won, a hat-trick for Pete Smith. Hugh Pert second, John Jones in third. Fastest laps, Gary Lawrence in the Supersport Boxsters, and Peter Smith in the 924s. Championship looks thus. We've got Gary Lawrence leading the championship from Rick Styron on drop scores. Nick Hull is third, head of Andrew Porter. And then in the 924s, Hugh Pert leading from John Jones, Chris Valentine, Andrew Pritchard and Pete Smith in 5th position.
Andy, congratulations, your first win. Pretty excited?
Yeah, speechless really. Gary, we gave a good run for my money, and yeah, just managed to hang on really. Yeah, over the moon.
He certainly made you work for it, didn't he?
Yeah, well, I managed to get away from him. I thought, oh, I'll get some laps in and get a gap. I thought I might be all right, and then he kept creeping, and then towards the end he was just so fast. We're just hanging on, and managed to keep it there and and get over the line.
Well, that's all that matters. You've got your win, broken the duck. Yeah. Look forward to seeing you next time out.
Cheers, and I'll be there at Croft.
Gary, well done on your second place. Just missed out there on another win this weekend, but you made him work hard.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to him, and congratulations to Andy. That's his first win, so we'll be celebrating that tonight. I know what that feeling's like, because I think I got mine a few weeks back. Fantastic race. I mean, to be fair, I don't mind coming second in a race like that. It was really good, and I put him under so much pressure, so fair play to him. That is brilliant, and to have 2 wins this weekend as well was great. Just like to thank Country Properties, Ambassador Rottweilers, and Avery's Transport, who have given me a fantastic car, so brilliant.
Fantastic, we look forward to seeing you next time out.
Cheers, thanks.
Lee, third place, but looking at what was happening out there, that doesn't look like it was a bad result.
No, it was a good finish, to be fair. I went for a bit of a wander on lap 1 and then had a great race with Nick. Really enjoyed that. Fair play to Andy, first win. Gary was brilliant again, and the best I could get.